There's supposed to be like a beautiful lone dead tree out there. It's not there. So, on to plan B. Only problem is, I don't know which one road leads to plan B. I'm certainly getting my steps in these days. It's the third morning in a row with thick fog. And why are there so many hills in my local landscapes? Ugh. And up the trail we go. For the life of me, how long is this hill? This is uncommon for Denmark. And it just continues there. So now we are talking. So I've scouted 2 areas in this forest and I tried to find the trail that connects those 2. It seems I succeeded. So a first little introductory shot here. Long lens on, about 50 millimeter, so 50 to 400 millimeter, gives a beautiful photo of this forest trail right here. So the composition is like this: aperture priority, ISO 100, f16 to get the entire scene in focus. Gives me right now a shutter speed of 15 seconds. There is no wind whatsoever, so that is not a problem. How about that? These are definitely some of my favorite foggy forest trail photos I've ever taken. Yet, little did I know though, that I was soon to take my favorite forest photo of 2024 at my Plan B location. But before we go to that, if you struggle with composition and landscape photography, be sure to get my ebooks. They are super easy to read because of the minimal text and the tons of examples. I cover all the different compositional tools, as I call them, rather than rules, because these tools are some you can apply to the different photos when you see them. Many scenes in nature doesn't necessarily have to be photographed in one particular way. You can approach a scene in many different ways, depending on what is your style, your approach to photography, what you like yourself. It's all about approaching the scene with intention. There are links to both the free light versions and the full versions of the ebooks down in the description of the video. So I'm not even at Plan B yet, but I was walking along the trail and then I saw that scene right there. So I've composed a photo that looks something like this here. I'm a little bit in doubt whether I want to include that bit right there. So I've taken 2 photos, this one and this one. I'm also a little bit in doubt whether I actually like this main tree right there. I think it takes up too much attention. Maybe there's something else to zoom into here or something. Anyways, if I was to take this photo, ISO 100 f13 gives me right now a shutter speed of 0.6 seconds. So I woke up this morning with a notification from YouTube with a comment from Barry. And Barry writes, "Missed a video and YouTube stopped putting them in my feed. Geez, YouTube. Catching up, thanks for the video." And that was on a video that I released 1.5 months ago. And that is the reason why you should subscribe and like the video. Because if you don't, YouTube is like, oh, Barry doesn't like Mads's content. So let me show him something about automobile racing instead. Now the sad truth is that over the past few months, my YouTube channel has just been in a rut. Now, I will always make videos about landscape photography. Occasionally something about gear. If it relates to what I do and make landscape photography, I will make my tutorial videos back home in the studio. But the videos that you really ought to watch are those where I go out into the field, solve problems, take photos, make original photos, make original content, videos, and so forth. The videos that I like to make the most, where I get new photos, are those that the subscribers to a landscape photography channel watch the least. It makes no sense, and that is why YouTube landscape photography, I don't even know what to say after almost 8 years. Alright, so I need another lens for this composition right here. My 50-400 is just a tiny bit too narrow, so the 24-105 goes on. I brought the 24-105 out these days because there's a lot of fog, and the 24-105 is slightly better optically than the 28-200, and I have a little bit wider angle to work with also. Now I could of course just use my wide angle, but it's just such a versatile lens, especially for woodland photography. Alright, so on with this camera. It's really hard to do with only one hand. I am photographing this scene right here, and I just needed a little bit wider angle so I can get the stuff up here. Beautiful. There's such a dense fog in here this morning. I love it. So about 30mm aperture priority. Right now that gives me a shutter speed of 0.4 second, f16, ISO 640. ISO 640 because the scene is kind of moving, there's a little bit of wind, so I will need that faster shutter speed. What you can also see up here, I have this hot shoe protection thing, which Sony has made. Thanks to Sony for giving that one to me. So instead of updating the firmware, where you can tick off that annoying error message when the hot shoe gets wet, you just make a new product and earn more money. It's always about money. It's very smart. Buy my ebooks. I'd kind of forgotten how long it would take me to get to Plan B. So I'm still not at Plan B, and I start to fear that the atmosphere, although amazing, won't be strong enough for it to work, but we'll see once I get there. However, I just came by this photo. Actually, this area of the forest is super pretty. Just look at here with my Osmo and going wide angle like this. If I do make a wide angle photo like this one right here, this area right here will be too much dead space. But I really like the tree that I see right there. So I'm trying a few different compositions. This one here, where I use the foreground tree to like counterweigh it. And then I've placed this awesome part of the tree right in the middle between these background trees right there. So it's all about getting the separation between the trees. And then of course the fog will help with the separation throughout the scene. I'm going to try a few other compositions with that one cool beech tree, and then I will see which one works the best for me. I think this big guy deserves a photo. Beautiful. And especially with those two trees here in the background. Going to be nice. So you never know what you're gonna find. And I just turned around when I was walking through all this blech, and then I saw this trunk here with all these mushroom thingies on. And I'm using this branch down here as the leading line leading towards it. I've tried both my 24-205. It seemed it wasn't entirely wide enough, so I put on the wide angle, the 16-35. And with that one, I can really get in and use the trunk here as a leading line, leading towards the trunk still standing. I think the idea on location was better than the execution and the final photo. The fog doesn't really add any depth to the composition, although the glow is nice. However, if you struggle with focus stacking or working with glow and atmosphere, I have several tutorials covering those topics in my huge post-processing course. It is in this 31 videos and 20+ hours course I share all my editing techniques. It is a titan of landscape photography editing knowledge, and with the coupon code in the description of the video you can save $45 upon enrolling. And of course, a huge thank you to all of you who have enrolled throughout the years. It is because of you who get my products that I can keep making videos like these. So now, back to this forest excursion and plan B. I gotta ask myself, I'm not even sure how I found this place to begin with. Because Jesus, I'm not sure I can find my way out again. It's just so dense walking through this forest, but it's beautiful. But yeah, no clue how I found it to begin with. Curiosity, I guess. Whee! I go all the way up there to my tripod. So, after 2 hours and 15 minutes, he made it. Just to conclude that the fog is gone. At least here. Walker! Alright, so to be completely honest, I did fear that this would be the case, because even though the scene has some depth to it, as you can see here in the background, I did not expect that much, that the fog would be thick enough to really create that dense fog depth thickness. I think it can, theoretically, but it's definitely not doing it now. So I put on the wide angle. I could actually also just use my 24-205 because I'm shooting at like 30mm or so. And then I'm using this tree here in the foreground that you can see here, and then there's another tree in the background and another tree further in the background. And then I of course have all the other trees in the way background. Right now I'm shooting at f13, ISO 640 to get a fast enough shutter speed to combat whatever little wind is there. And also so I can handhold this and show it to you. I will also give this a shot on the tripod at ISO 100 in just a moment. So rule number one when you are photographing in fog is to not assume that you know what the fog is going to do. because it just came in very fast. It lasted for 20-30 seconds and I was ready because I knew that there was a chance that it would come back, and I got the shot. Now I've also been walking a bit around just waiting for the fog to come back. Found another composition over here that is really nice. So something like this right there. These trees are beautiful. So yeah, there it is, one of my all-time favorite forest photos. I knew instantly when working this composition I had struck gold. I love the shape of these beech trees. Admittedly, I did not see this composition when I first scouted this area 4 years ago. Back then I was too busy with the other composition. It is quite fun to think about how another composition led me to this one, and that happens surprisingly often. I was deliberating with myself whether to include the tree on the far left outside the framing of the foreground tree, but now I'm quite confident I prefer that version to the one with the tighter crop. In lack of better words, there is just more gnarliness to this one. That said, let me know down in the comments which one you prefer. What a phenomenal morning! And what can we learn from this? Make sure to have a plan B if plan A fails. If it takes you way too long to get to plan B, make sure to take some photos on the way. You never know what you're going to find, especially if you do woodland photography like this right here. The fog is still lingering a little bit around. I don't think it's going to be better than what it has already been here. So I'll start heading back and see if I can still accomplish plan A. Let's go. And that right there, that was plan A. If that was not perfect time management, I do not know what is. Way better to have that plan B and go for that than standing around here and whinging for like 4 hours. I'm not even sure what I'm to call this vlog. Like, it is definitely always about photography. I could also call it something with like plan B. I'm not sure. If you want to learn more about composition, if you want to learn more about editing, be sure to get my ebooks and enroll in my big editing course, Photoshop for Landscape Photographers. Also, be sure to subscribe to my newsletter if you want notifications on when I upload new videos and when I announce new workshops and much more that I put in my newsletter. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. See you next time.